Hello. In this video, we shall be looking at a very important fundamental concept that one should know and which is often needed when solving many algebraic problems. This skill is expanding brackets. But before I go into that, there are a few points I'd like to highlight. These points should be borne in mind throughout this video. The first point is that whenever we're asked to expand brackets, what they mean is that we should remove the brackets. Or sometimes some textbooks will say open the brackets. The next point is that when removing brackets, every term inside the bracket is multiplied by whatever is outside the bracket. The third point is that when removing these brackets, it is good practice and very helpful to think of whatever is outside the bracket as a directed number. Because, when you think of these numbers as directed numbers, then you automatically consider their signs when you're removing the brackets. And we shall see some of the implications of these as we go along. The next point to bear in mind is that this video assumes that learners are already familiar with operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of simple algebraic terms. And then the final point is that you can pause this video at any time to solve the problems before I do. And then I believe that if you do so, it may help you evaluate and improve your progress. That's just my belief. As I always say, practice makes better. With that in mind, let's delve into some of these examples. The first example is this one here. It says expand, open bracket, x plus 3, close bracket. And you may be wondering, this doesn't need any expansion. Yes, I know. But it's good to understand the fact that anything outside the bracket is supposed to multiply each term inside the bracket. And you're wondering, who is outside the bracket? 1 is outside the bracket. There is a 1 out here, outside the bracket. Remember, one of the points I said we should bear in mind is that we should consider these numbers as signed numbers. We should consider them as directed numbers. So in this case, it is actually plus 1. So when I open this bracket, it's going to be this man out here times each member inside the bracket one by one, one step at a time. So plus 1 times x. I'm also considering the sign of x, even though it's not written here, but there is a small plus, the plus there. So we have plus 1 times plus x. That will give us plus x. So I might just go ahead to write the plus x. And then you have plus 1 times 3. Not just 3, but plus 1 times plus 3. So I'm considering every number here as a directed number. That way I do not miss out on their signs. It's very important when expanding or opening a bracket. So we have plus 1 times plus 3. That will give us plus 3. If you have a problem, if you still have challenges, in how to add directed numbers, you can see one of my videos on the directed numbers, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction of directed numbers. That might help. If you can go through the videos, that should help. Okay, so this is the answer, but normally the way we write this we don't normally write the positive sign, to begin with. Okay, so this is the answer to that question. The next question here says minus, open bracket, plus a minus 4, close bracket. So what I'm going to do here is to first of all recognize the number that is outside the bracket, and that number is minus 1. So that minus 1 would multiply each term inside the bracket, and there are 2 terms inside the bracket right now. The first term is plus a, and the second term is minus 4. So each of these terms will be multiplied by whatever is outside the bracket, and what is outside the bracket is minus 1. So I'm going to have minus 1 times plus a. My answer there is supposed to be minus a. The next now is minus 1 times minus 4. Minus times minus will give you plus. 1 times 4 will give you 4. So my answer here could be left as minus a plus 4, but sometimes some people just want to tidy this up by just doing 4 minus a. So that's the answer. It could be minus a plus 4 or 4 minus a. The third question here says, expand minus 3d, open bracket, ad plus 2p, close the bracket. So this time around, we have a very clear term outside the bracket, so we can easily, it's visible what is outside the bracket. We know it's minus 3d. But then what you have inside the bracket, we also have two terms as well. The two terms inside the brackets are ad and plus 2p, actually plus ad and plus 2p. So let's attempt to open this bracket now. We multiply each term inside the bracket by the term outside the bracket. So here we have minus 3d times plus ad. If I were to write everything out the way it should be, I would have done minus 3d times plus ad. So you have minus, this minus here times plus here will give you minus. So this 3 here times 1 here will give you 3. And then this d times ad will give you ad squared. So normally this would be taking place in our heads. We don't necessarily need to show this particular aspect of the working except to ask to do so. But if you're just solving this, normally your examiner would already know that you've done this in your head to get the next point there. So here we have minus 3d times plus ad. I'm going to have minus times plus to give me minus, and then we can do that 3 times 1 to give us 3, and then we can do d times ad will give me ad squared. And we like it's good practice to always write alphabetically. We can actually write this in any order, but it's good practice to write alphabetically. So we have minus 3d times plus 2p now. Minus 3d times plus 2p. We're going to get minus 6dp. And this is supposed to be the answer. The next example. Look at this example. It says expand 3 over 4. Open bracket 2x minus 4y. Close the bracket. In this particular example, it is worthy of note that what is outside the bracket, even though it's a positive number, it is a fraction. Now, how do you handle fraction? It's the same way. Normally, the basic point of opening a bracket is to multiply every term inside the bracket by whatever is outside the bracket. And what you have inside the bracket, there are two terms as well here. We have plus 2x and then we have minus 4y. So each of these terms would be multiplied or should be multiplied by the term outside the bracket, which is this fraction right here, plus 3 over 4. So I'm going to try to, on one side of the screen, show you what should be going on in our heads as we try to open this bracket, and I'll just write the results down there. So we have 3 over 4 times, that's actually what I'm doing is plus 3 over 4 because I have to consider the signs of each of these numbers. So we're plus 3 over 4 times plus 2x. This is actually what it should look like. Plus 3 over 4 times 2x, actually plus 2x, plus 2x. So basically what you're having right now is that this man here is going to be multiplying plus 3. Everything is divided by 4. So we're actually having 3/4 of 2x. That's what we're having. And normally this is what we do. We can reduce this further by doing 2 here, 1, 2 here, 2, and then we have 3 over 2. Don't forget that there's also x here. So eventually the answer here is supposed to be 3 times x over 2, which is 3x over 2. So I can write this way, 3x over 2. That's what will be left here. And then for the next one here, I have minus, because I don't just drop down the minus here, but I had to consider first of all the sign of the number outside. So in the process of trying to open the bracket, I have to multiply plus 3 over 4 by minus 4y. And when I do that, I'm going to also show you on this side of the screen what is going on in my head right now. So I have 3 over 4 times what now? Times minus 4y. And when you try to simplify this, you're going to reduce this further. You have 4 here, 1, 4 there, 1. And then you have 3 times minus 1 will give you minus 3. And then that minus 3 times y will give you minus 3y. So our answer here would be minus 3y. This is what happens after you must have multiplied 3 over 4 by minus 4y. You get 3y. And as a matter of fact, this is supposed to be the answer. The reason why we can't go any further from here is because these terms now are unlike terms. They are not like terms, so we can actually add or subtract them. So we leave them exactly the way they are right now. So I'll go to the next question, and that reminds me, you have several ways of expressing algebraic fractions. For example, some people like to express their fractions like this. For example, if you have a fraction which is the coefficient, and then you have a variable such as x, this is half of x. This is what it means. It means half of x, or half times x, or 1 over 2 times x. Some other people are more comfortable doing x over 2. So if you have x over 2, it's still the same thing. It's still saying that it is x divided by 2, which is the same thing as saying half times x. So I just thought I should just throw that in there. Okay, this is another example. That's question 5. This question here, we have 2 brackets this time around, but then for these 2 brackets we have coefficients, not coefficients please. For these 2 brackets we have numbers that are immediately outside the bracket. So minus 2 open bracket 1 minus 2b close the bracket minus 1 open bracket plus b minus 1 close the bracket. So we're going to do this step by step. So we have to multiply each term one by one. So because I recognize that there are 2 sets of brackets here, I have to separate them in my mind. I need to know that I have to treat them separately in my mind. So now I'm going to begin. I have minus 2 times plus 1. Minus times plus. There's a plus right here. So minus times that plus will give you minus. So 2 times 1 will give you 2. This same minus 2 times minus 2b. Minus 2 times minus 2b will give me plus 4b. So minus 1 times plus b will give you minus b. And minus 1 times minus 1 will give you plus 1. So I'm collecting like terms now. So collecting like terms, I have to rearrange this just for this explanation. I don't need to actually do this, but so we have minus 2 plus 1 will give you minus 1. And then plus 4b minus 1b will give you plus 3b. So if I may rewrite this, I can rewrite this as, well, I could leave my answer like this as a matter of fact, but I could also rewrite this as 3b minus 1. So that will be the answer. This is also correct. This time around, we're going to be expanding a pair of brackets. So this question 7 here says expand and simplify. So we're going to expand. And when we expand a pair of brackets, there's just a simple step to follow. And that is by taking each term, this and this, will multiply the whole of the term inside this bracket one by one. So what do I mean by that? So I can rewrite this as, first of all, you have to rewrite. It's just good practice to rewrite this as this. So we have x, then open the bracket and write your x plus 4, which is what you have in the second bracket. Then the next is to have 2 plus 2, this plus 2 right here. and then you open the same bracket and then you write x plus 4. So now we've done this. There are other examples I might have to show you as well. So we have x times x here will give you x squared, and then x times plus 4. So we'll do, first of all, I did x times x, and that gives us what? X squared. So the next is to do x times plus 4. So I'm doing x times plus 4, and that will give me plus 4x. I'm going to write that down right here. I'll open the brackets. So I would open this bracket as well. To remove the brackets, multiply the term outside by each term inside the bracket. So what is outside is plus 2. I'm multiplying that by x, which is inside the bracket. So what I'm doing is multiply plus 2 by plus x. And when I do so, I'm going to get plus 2x. So I'll do the same thing with this one right here. So we have plus 2 times plus 4, and then that would give me plus 8. So taking a look at this line, you can tell easily that there are like terms here. So we have two like terms. There are two like terms here, plus 4x and plus 2x. So let's collect those like terms and simplify them. So we've expanded. Now it's time to simplify. So we'll simplify this by having x squared plus 6x, because plus 4x plus 2x will give you plus 6x, and then we have plus 8. This is the answer, because now we have different terms. We can't add, we can subtract. So that's the answer there. Let's go to another question. Question 8. This one says expand and simplify. So let's do the same thing. Again, we'll pick one term in the first bracket, write it down, open the bracket, and write the whole of the terms in the second bracket. So I'm going to do that by doing x minus 2. Write down the second term inside the first bracket. I'm going to write it down, minus 2. And then I would open this bracket to write down the same bracket, the same things in the bracket. So we have x minus 2, write it down. So we have x minus 2. So now I've split it. I need to now open the brackets now singly. So we do x times x will give you x squared, and then plus x times minus 2 will give you minus 2x. That bracket has been opened. The next bracket to be opened now is minus 2 times x will give you minus 2x. Minus 2 times minus 2 will give you plus 4. So we notice that we have like terms there, so let's just simplify it. So that will give you x squared. Minus 2x will give you minus 4x plus 4. And this will be your answer. Okay, so with this, I think we're fine with this. I just hope that this video helps you. Thank you for watching. And until I see you again in the next video, bye-bye.